What would you do if the gates to power stood before you, half open, guarded by men and women who decide the fate of worlds, and all you needed was the audacity to walk through? The powerful do not exist on the same plane as ordinary people. They breathe different air, move with different certainty, act with a confidence carved from years of being obeyed. Yet for all their dominance, they are not unreachable. There exists a narrow, shadowed path that leads directly into their world, a path the timid never see and the naive never survive. This is the path Machiavelli understood better than anyone, the dark art of rising, not by luck, not by talent alone, but through the strategic creation of connections with those who rule the arena. In the mind of Machiavelli, climbing toward power was not an accident, but a design, a cold calculation of human weakness, vanity, fear, and desire. Every powerful person, no matter how untouchable they appear, has a crack in their armor, a hunger they conceal, a flaw they despise, a secret need waiting for the right person to exploit. And in the world of social climbing, the one who learns these hidden structures does not simply rise, they become indispensable. Imagine yourself entering a grand hall where voices shape kingdoms and fortunes. No one knows your name yet. No one looks your direction. You are invisible, your presence barely a ripple in the dark sea of ambition. But if you listen the way Machiavelli listened, if you observe with the cold, detached curiosity of a strategist, you will realize something. They all need something. They all fear something. They all want something. And the moment you discover what that is, the gates shift. The lock weakens. Your path begins. There is a reason most people never form connections with powerful individuals. They misunderstand the nature of power. They believe it is secured through talent alone, or earned through some moral worthiness. Machiavelli laughs at such illusions. Power bends to leverage, to perception, to influence, to the subtle manipulation of human psychology. It belongs to those who understand how to conduct themselves in the presence of authority without shrinking, without flattering like fools, and without revealing their desperation. The powerful sense hunger the way predators sense weakness, and when they do, they devour rather than uplift. The true social climber never approaches as a beggar seeking opportunity. They approach as a presence the powerful cannot ignore. That is the ancient secret Machiavelli whispered into the ears of princes. To rise, you must first understand the nature of those who can lift you. And the nature of the powerful is never simple. They are often paranoid, always guarded, surrounded by people who want something from them, people who lie, flatter, and pretend. They live in a world where sincerity is scarce and loyalty is a currency traded and betrayed in equal measure. In such a world, authenticity becomes a luxury and weakness becomes fatal. If you want to connect with these individuals, you must become the rare force that understands their reality without being crushed by it. You must become the person whose presence does not drain them, whose words do not bore them, whose intentions do not alarm them. Not a servant, not a threat, not a sycophant. Something else entirely. Picture yourself watching a powerful figure speak in a crowded room. Their charisma pulls the air toward them. Their influence radiates like invisible gravity. Most people approach with trembling admiration or naive excitement. But not you. You notice the small gestures between their sentences, the way their shoulders drop slightly when certain topics emerge, the flicker in their expression when someone they distrust walks by. You see what others ignore. This is how the climb begins, not with praise, not with force, but with perception so sharp it cuts through the mask every powerful person wears. Machiavelli believed the greatest advantage any climber possesses is the ability to control their own image. You must become the person who appears valuable but not bragging, confident but not arrogant, intelligent but not overwhelming, agreeable yet still possessing a core of mystery that commands interest. You must walk the narrow line between visibility and subtlety, like a shadow that chooses when to reveal itself. The powerful do not trust those who try too hard. They do not respect those who appear weak. They do not elevate those who behave predictably. Power craves intrigue, novelty, strategic usefulness. And if you wish to rise, you must craft yourself into the kind of person whose presence resolves problems, absorbs tension, and amplifies the influence of those around you. But power is not seduced by appearance alone. It requires a deeper psychological resonance. People of influence are drawn to those who make them feel seen without feeling exposed, respected without being worshipped, admired without being flattered. They long for someone who understands their burdens without exploiting their vulnerabilities. Most importantly, they want someone who does not drain their energy but restores it. And yet, building such a connection is an art that few ever master, because it requires an absolute command over your instincts. You must suppress the desire to impress. You must silence the impulse to talk about yourself. You must tame the urge to seek validation. The powerful do not want to be impressed, they want to be understood. Consider the difference between the one who chases attention and the one who earns presence. When you chase, you place yourself below the one you pursue. When you earn, you elevate yourself to their level. Power recognizes power. It does not notice the desperate. Thus, the climb begins with silence, with watching, with reading the room, with understanding the social dynamics that orbit the powerful the way planets orbit a star. You do not force yourself into their world. You align with its gravitational pull by becoming the type of person whose potential is obvious without being announced. Machiavelli teaches that the most effective social climbers never reveal the full extent of their intentions. They rise through subtlety, through calculated humility, through the strategic creation of opportunities that feel natural rather than forced. They control the pace of their ascent. They position themselves near power without appearing to chase it. They offer value without showcasing it. They exude quiet confidence, the rare kind that does not need validation to exist. And when the powerful notice them, and they will, it seems organic, inevitable, fate rather than effort. Imagine the moment a powerful person finally sees you, not because you asked them to, not because you pushed your way into their circle, but because your presence, your discipline, your self-control, your mastery of your own mind compelled them to take interest. In that moment, you shift from invisible to indispensable, and the game changes. But Machiavelli warns, the climb requires more than presence and perception. It demands understanding of the internal architecture of power itself. Every powerful person exists inside an ecosystem of alliances, rivalries, hidden threats, and political pressures. Entering their world means entering their battlefield. And to navigate such terrain, you must operate with caution and intelligence. You must learn when to speak, when to listen, when to retreat, and when to strike. You must learn to read intentions through tone, loyalty through behavior, sincerity through silence. You must understand that in their world, nothing is accidental and everything is strategic. If you misread a signal, you fall. If you align with the wrong ally, you burn. If you push too fast, you collapse. This world is not meant for the impulsive, it belongs to the deliberate. As you begin your ascent, you will encounter individuals who hold fragments of influence, assistants, advisors, gatekeepers, trusted confidants. These people often matter more than the powerful themselves, because they decide who enters and who is removed. But be cautious, they are also the most suspicious. Their value depends on their exclusivity. If you try to force your way through them, they will shut you out. If you ignore them, they will ensure you never rise. You must treat them with respect, but never appear as though you are dependent on them. You must build familiarity without crossing boundaries. You must hint at value without showing your full hand. You must become someone they enjoy the presence of, someone they subtly advocate for, without realizing they are doing it. This is the silent opening of the first gate. But rising toward powerful individuals is not simply a game of external maneuvering. It is an internal evolution. You must become harder, sharper, more composed. You must learn emotional discipline so complete that no insult phases you, no praise distracts you, no setback derails you. The powerful gravitate toward those who stand firm in chaos, who do not crumble under pressure, who do not react like ordinary people. They respect those who remain calm when others panic, who speak with clarity when others ramble, who choose words like weapons rather than noise. To connect with the powerful, you must first become someone who can stand in the presence of power without losing control of your own identity. Machiavelli understood this intimately. In the courts of Florence, appearing weak was fatal, appearing arrogant was suicide, Appearing naive was a guarantee of manipulation. The successful climbed through a strange mixture of humility and confident restraint, a balance so rare that it separated the extraordinary from the forgotten. You must cultivate this balance. You must behave as though every room you enter is a chessboard, every interaction a move, every silence a strategy. You must learn to read what is not said, what is implied, what is concealed behind smiles and pleasantries. You must understand that social climbing in the world of the powerful is not merely a pursuit. It is a discipline, a mental transformation, a strategic awakening. Think of the powerful not as gods, but as flawed creatures burdened by expectations, surrounded by parasites, trapped by their own image. The more powerful they become, the more isolated they feel. And in that isolation lies your opportunity, not to take advantage of their loneliness, but to offer the rarest commodity in their world, authentic understanding without judgment. This is how you bypass thousands who seek attention, approval, or gain. This is how you become different. This is how you enter their trust. But trust is not given quickly. It is tested, challenged, measured. The powerful will watch how you speak to others, how you handle pressure, how you manage conflict, how you respond to subtle provocations. They will test your patience, your loyalty, your discretion. They will push you to see if you break. And you must not. You must respond with calmness, with intelligence, with an unwavering sense of purpose. You must show that you do not fear their world, that you can withstand its storms, that you can coexist with its shadows. This is how they begin to see you as one of them. As you move deeper into their circles, you must also learn to manage envy. Others climbing toward the same positions will see you as competition. They will try to discredit you, sabotage you, smear your intentions. They will whisper lies to the powerful, trying to pull you down before you rise too high. You must remain neutral in public, sharp in private, and calculating at all times. You must never engage in petty conflicts. You must never react emotionally. You must never show fear. Let others burn in their own jealousy, while you rise quietly, steadily, invisibly, until the moment you reveal your presence, and it is too late for anyone to stop you. This is the essence of Machiavellian social climbing: strategy without desperation, confidence without noise, presence without force. You rise by becoming the person the powerful instinctively gravitate toward, the one who brings balance to their chaos, clarity to their confusion, and strength to their uncertainty. You rise by becoming indispensable, long before anyone realizes you have surpassed the others. And now, as the shadows shift and the foundations of power begin to sense your presence, the climb truly begins. The climb continues in the shadows long before the powerful ever acknowledge you. And it is in these shadows where the most decisive transformations occur, the ones that sculpt your character into a weapon sharp enough to cut through the guarded layers of influence. The moment you step onto this path, you begin to sense that every interaction around you is laced with hidden meaning, that every conversation in the orbit of power carries implications beneath the surface, that every gesture from those who already stand closer to the throne is part of a silent war you have now entered. You begin to understand that rising toward powerful people is not merely about being impressive or charismatic. It is about surviving in an ecosystem built on ambition, insecurity, ego, fear, and the relentless fight for relevance. And this realization does not intimidate you, it awakens you. You start recognizing a truth Machiavelli knew intimately: the powerful do not operate by the same rules as the ordinary. Their world is governed by unwritten laws, subtle dynamics, and psychological forces that outsiders never see. They communicate through implications rather than statements, through glances rather than declarations, through strategic restraint rather than emotional expression. To create connections with them, you must absorb these unseen languages until they become instinctive. You must learn to read the shift in a powerful person's eyes when they lose interest, the slight tightening of their jaw when someone threatens their status, the faint relaxation in their tone when they trust someone. You must see what they hide from most people: the signs of fatigue, the moments of doubt, the flashes of irritation. These details reveal more than words ever could, and once you see them, you begin to understand how their world truly works. The second stage of the climb demands that you reshape the way you present yourself. not by pretending to be something you're not, but by becoming the version of yourself that can survive and thrive in proximity to power. You must cultivate the quality Machiavelli valued above all: controlled adaptability. You must be able to shift your energy depending on the room you enter. Around visionaries, you become insightful. Around strategists, you become calculated. Around leaders, you become steady. Around warriors, you become bold. Around scholars, you become thoughtful. This is not deception, it is strategic resonance. You do not change your core. You reveal the parts of yourself that match the dominant force around you. The powerful seek people who reflect their own intensity, ambition, and values. When you adapt without losing yourself, you become magnetic. But this adaptability cannot exist without discipline. You must master your emotions with a level of precision most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Anger must become a tool rather than a reaction. Ego must be subdued but not eliminated. Pride must be controlled but not extinguished. Fear must be acknowledged but not obeyed. The powerful despise those who crumble under pressure, who reveal insecurities too quickly, who react impulsively, who complain, who gossip, who blame. They gravitate toward individuals who maintain composure when others panic, who hold themselves with dignity even in uncertainty, who speak thoughtfully rather than loudly, who listen while others ramble, who choose silence over foolishness. You must embody this environment of control until it becomes the very aura you emit. As you refine your presence, something subtle begins to change. People around you treat you differently, not because you demand respect, but because you no longer operate from need or insecurity. You begin moving with the grounded confidence of someone who understands their value. You no longer rush to speak. You no longer over-explain. You no longer chase validation. You observe, you calculate, you position yourself with intention. This shift in demeanor creates an invisible force around you, a presence others can feel even before they understand why. It is not arrogance. It is authority forming within you. But the powerful do not connect with you merely because you appear strong or composed. They connect with you when they sense that you bring something rare, something they cannot easily find: the ability to provide value without being needy, to support without losing independence, to assist without becoming a servant, to advise without becoming presumptuous. To achieve this, you must cultivate what Machiavelli called the art of useful influence, the ability to subtly enhance the position of those above you without looking like you are trying to ascend on their backs. You must become someone who solves problems before they escalate, who offers solutions before being asked, who understands the priorities of the powerful and aligns with them naturally. Imagine walking alongside a powerful figure who faces a challenge threatening their image or control. Others panic, escalate, or emotionally react. You do not. You speak calmly, suggesting a strategic angle they might have missed, or you provide information they didn't realize was needed, or you simply listen with patience until clarity emerges. They begin to notice you, not because you preached your value, but because your behavior silently proved it. The powerful remember those who remain composed when others crumble. As these moments accumulate, you begin entering the peripheral vision of power. You are not yet inside their world, but you are no longer invisible. Their assistants recognize you. Their trusted allies acknowledge you. Their inner circle becomes aware of your presence. This stage is critical, because the transition from unnoticed to recognized is where most social climbers sabotage themselves. They grow excited, too eager, too aggressive. They try to impress too quickly, interrupt too often, speak too confidently, or pretend to know more than they do. Such behavior signals desperation, and desperation is the stench that repels power instantly. You must resist this impulse with all the discipline you possess. Slow down your rise intentionally. Force yourself to remain subtle. Wait for the powerful to take the first step. When they finally speak to you, respond with clarity but not excitement. When they ask what you do, explain with calm precision rather than long explanations. When they show interest, reciprocate but do not lean forward. Your restraint becomes the rope that pulls them closer. As Machiavelli taught, the most strategic influence is built not by pursuing power directly, but by compelling power to pursue you. This does not mean you remain passive. It means you operate like gravity, silent, invisible, inevitable. You place yourself in the right environments, near the right people, at the right moments. You listen more than you speak, learning their ambitions, their fears, their frustrations, their priorities. You identify who influences them, who threatens them, who annoys them, who inspires them. You immerse yourself in their ecosystem without making noise, and gradually, you become a figure who feels familiar, trusted, even essential, long before they have consciously realized it. As this familiarity grows, the next phase of the climb emerges, learning to communicate with the powerful. This communication is unlike anything else. You must master the balance between respect and equality. If you speak to them like a subordinate, they dismiss you. If you speak to them like a rival, they destroy you. You must speak like someone who understands their world without being intimidated by it. Your tone must be grounded, your words measured, your presence composed. You must learn the art of strategic brevity, saying less but implying more, revealing depth without displaying arrogance, offering insight without demanding recognition. Every sentence must have purpose. Every comment must reflect awareness. Every silence must be intentional. The powerful evaluate others constantly, often in the first few seconds. They judge whether you are mature enough, intelligent enough, discreet enough, emotionally controlled enough, strategically useful enough. When you speak with intentional precision, you pass these tests one by one. But even as you rise, the greatest threat appears: envy. Not from the powerful, but from those around them. The inner circle is threatened by newcomers, especially those who exhibit potential. They will observe you with suspicion. They will question your intentions. They will test your loyalty. Some will try to discredit you quietly, manipulating perceptions to protect their own influence. These individuals are the real gatekeepers, and if you mishandle them, your climb ends instantly. To survive them, you must project neutrality, never challenge them, never boast, never position yourself as competition. Let them underestimate you. Let them misread your intentions. Let them think you are harmless. For now. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous opponents are those who detect your ambition before you have the power to defend it. So you remain humble, composed, invisible enough to avoid threats but visible enough to be respected. As time passes, your strategic patience begins to pay. The powerful start to rely on you, not fully, not publicly, but in subtle ways. They may ask your opinion on a minor issue, or they may request a small piece of information, or they may simply enjoy speaking to you when the room feels tense. These small openings are more valuable than grand opportunities. They are the first cracks in their emotional armor, the first signs of trust, the first steps into their circle. And you treat these moments with reverence. You respond with clarity, with discretion, with efficiency. You do not brag. You do not repeat what they tell you. You do not use their attention to elevate yourself prematurely. The quickest way to lose a powerful ally is to flaunt the connection before it solidifies. You understand this instinctively. You nurture the connection quietly, letting it grow like roots beneath the soil. And slowly, something remarkable happens. The powerful begin to speak to you differently. They no longer treat you like a stranger, but as someone familiar, someone useful, someone steady. They share small frustrations with you. They ask for your perspective. They notice when you enter a room. Their eyes linger a second longer. Their tone softens. Their guard lowers. This is not friendship, it is access. It is the door unlocking. By this stage, you have crossed an invisible threshold. You have stepped into the outer edges of their world. You now see the dynamics regular people never witness, the political games, the silent betrayals, the manufactured alliances, the hidden anxieties. You begin to understand that the powerful are not as invincible as they appear. Inside them lies fear of irrelevance, fear of losing control, fear of being deceived, fear of being outmaneuvered. These fears shape their every decision, every relationship, every alliance. And the moment you truly understand these fears is the moment you gain your greatest advantage, empathy weaponized by strategy, not manipulation, not exploitation. Understanding that allows you to navigate them with precision, respect, and power. You see now what Machiavelli saw centuries ago, that connecting with powerful people is not about climbing to them. It is about becoming the person who belongs beside them. And as you continue to evolve, your presence becomes too grounded to ignore, too emotionally controlled to dismiss, too insightful to undervalue. The climb is no longer something you force. It is something that begins happening naturally, inevitably, almost magnetically. And the powerful, sensing strength begin to draw you closer. The deeper you move into the world of power, the more its true nature reveals itself in layers that ordinary people never encounter. What once looked like an impenetrable empire of confidence and certainty now appears as a maze of hidden vulnerabilities, shifting alliances, quiet resentments, and unspoken expectations. You begin to see the powerful not as towering figures, but as human beings shaped by the weight of influence, perpetually performing a role they can never step away from. And it is within this deeper understanding that your climb gains momentum, because now you are not merely observing power from the outside, you are navigating its inner anatomy with growing precision. As you advance, you realize that in this world, survival and connection rely not on who speaks the loudest, but on who listens the sharpest. Power is drawn to those who understand what is not said. The powerful rarely speak their fears outright, rarely confess their insecurities, rarely reveal the pressures consuming them. But their silence reveals everything. Silence becomes your new language. Their pauses speak, their hesitation speaks, their emotional shifts speak. And by learning to read these unspoken signals, you become something they are not accustomed to encountering, someone who can see past their mask without trying to rip it off. This is the stage where your presence transforms from intriguing to essential. But it requires precision, because the most dangerous moment in the rise of a social climber is when they begin to be noticed. Attention is a double-edged blade. The powerful may start acknowledging you, but so will those who guard them, those who envy proximity, those who fear losing influence. The inner circle becomes wary. They observe your interactions, your expressions, your tone. They look for signs of ambition, arrogance, opportunism. Every move you make is now under scrutiny. This is where most fail. They misinterpret early recognition as security. They begin speaking more boldly, laughing more loudly, offering unsolicited opinions. They start appearing too frequently, too eagerly, and the powerful pull away as quickly as they approached. Machiavelli understood this stage better than anyone. The moment you gain visibility is the moment restraint becomes your greatest weapon. You must now reduce your movements, not expand them. You must refine your presence, not intensify it. You must speak less, not more. You must appear controlled, grounded, and subtly distant, as though you value the connection but do not need it. This emotional independence is irresistible to the powerful. Everyone around them needs something. Everyone asks, everyone takes. But your energy remains centered. You do not seek, you offer. You do not attach, you respect. You do not claim, you align. As the powerful begin to trust your presence, you gain access to the most important currency in their world, information. But information is not what most think. It is not gossip, not secrets, not dramatic revelations. True, valuable information is insight. Your ability to understand what the powerful need before they verbalize it, to see the direction they are heading before others notice, to sense the storm forming before thunder is heard. And when you consistently provide clarity in moments of confusion, calmness in moments of tension, and depth in moments of uncertainty, the powerful begin to see you as more than an acquaintance. They begin to see you as an asset. But assets are both valued and watched, so you must tread carefully. It is at this stage that you begin interacting with power in more direct ways. Perhaps the powerful start asking you small questions. Perhaps they begin including you in brief conversations. Perhaps they address you by name or acknowledge your presence in a room. These are small gestures to outsiders, but in the world of influence, they are massive shifts in energy. They are openings. And how you respond decides everything. You do not act surprised. You do not act honored. You do not rush to respond. You remain steady, composed, respectful without being submissive. You speak with soft confidence, enough to signal intelligence without signaling ego. You maintain eye contact but do not stare. You keep your statements concise but meaningful. Every word you utter is deliberate. Every expression intentional. Your entire demeanor reflects a simple truth. You respect their position, but you are not intimidated by it. This balance is what elevates you above the ordinary. Yet even as your connection deepens, another threat enters the arena: expectation. The powerful will begin to test you in ways that are subtle, psychological, and often invisible to the untrained mind. They may ask for your thoughts on a delicate matter to see if you speak recklessly. They may reveal a small vulnerability to test your discretion. They may observe how you interact with someone they distrust. They may give you an opportunity to see whether you handle it with humility or arrogance. These tests are never announced, never framed, never acknowledged. They simply happen. And you must pass them all. If you speak too boldly, you fail. If you flatter too eagerly, you fail. If you disclose too much, you fail. If you appear intimidated, you fail. If you appear entitled, you fail. The path narrows. The climb sharpens. This is where your internal evolution becomes critical. The person you were cannot survive this stage. You must become colder in analysis, warmer in presence, sharper in perception, slower in reaction. You must learn to treat pressure as a normal state, influence as a strategic ecosystem, and proximity to power as a privilege that you neither cling to nor squander. The powerful need people who do not collapse under weight. If you remain grounded while carrying their trust, you ascend. But ascending does not only require strength, it requires the ability to move undetected in the spaces where true influence is decided. Not public rooms, not social gatherings, but the subtle corridors of conversation, the side comments, the brief moments of vulnerability when the powerful reveal their human side. It is here that loyalty is built, not through public declarations, but through quiet consistency, not through grand gestures, but through small acts of reliability. You do not try to impress, they have seen countless attempts. You do not overwhelm, they despise those who complicate their world. You become simple to them. Simple does not mean shallow. Simple means stable, predictable in character but intelligent in execution, a source of clarity, not chaos. And because of this, they begin letting you closer. You find yourself in conversations that others are excluded from. You hear concerns before they become public. You observe conflicts unfolding behind closed doors. You witness decisions being shaped long before they are announced. And eventually, the powerful begin consulting you, not as a central advisor, not as an equal, but as someone whose perspective holds weight. And when this happens, you realize the climb has entered a new phase, not one of external positioning but of internal anchoring. You are no longer seeking connection, you are maintaining it. And maintaining is far more dangerous than acquiring, because now you must manage not only how the powerful see you, but how their ecosystem sees you. The inner circle will test your loyalty, rivals will provoke you, envious onlookers will whisper your name with suspicion. Every step becomes a strategic move. Every word becomes a potential weapon, for or against you. You must learn to navigate this with absolute discipline. You do not brag. You do not reveal what you know. You do not take sides prematurely. You do not rush into conflicts. You remain neutral publicly, strategic privately. Neutrality is not weakness. Neutrality is armor. Yet as you maintain neutrality, your internal understanding deepens. You begin to see the powerful in their rawest form. Their greatness impresses you less. Their humanity reveals itself more. You see that their strength often hides insecurity. Their decisiveness masks doubt. Their confidence conceals the fear of miscalculation. You begin sensing which alliances are real and which are performative. You recognize which advisors they actually listen to and which they merely tolerate. You understand who they fear, who they trust, who they privately resent. This insight becomes your advantage, but only if you wield it with restraint. Machiavelli wrote that the prince must always be feared more than he fears others. But he also wrote that the one who seeks proximity to the prince must never appear to know too much. Knowledge becomes dangerous when revealed, so you keep what you observe locked within your mind, using it only to navigate interactions, never to display superiority. And as this understanding grows, the powerful feel a shift, subtle but undeniable. They begin speaking to you not as an outsider, not as a subordinate, but as someone who understands their burdens, someone who sees them clearly without exploiting their flaws, someone whose presence calms rather than agitates, someone who listens without judgment, someone who offers clarity when chaos approaches. This is the moment when you transition from being recognized to being trusted, and trust is the currency that buys access no strategy can imitate. Yet trust creates its own shadow, the expectation of discretion. And you must guard their secrets more fiercely than they do. You must treat their vulnerabilities as sacred. You must speak of them to no one, hint at nothing, reveal nothing. Even if tempted by opportunity or threatened by rivals, you remain silent, because in silence you become invincible. The powerful fear those who know and talk. They embrace those who know and protect. As trust deepens, the powerful begin to invite you closer into their world, not through formal gestures, but through psychological doors. They may ask your opinion on matters outside your expertise, not because they need the answer, but because they value your perspective. They may share personal frustrations, not because they seek sympathy, but because they trust your discretion. They may ask for your presence during critical moments, not because you are essential to the task, but because your energy stabilizes theirs. These are not opportunities, they are transitions. And once these transitions begin, your ascent becomes inevitable. Now you enter the stage where connection becomes influence. Not overt influence, not political influence, psychological influence, emotional influence, subtle influence, the only kind Machiavelli respected. Influence that is unspoken, untraceable, undeniable. Influence that forms not from demanding power, but from becoming the person whose presence affects the powerful before they even realize it. You have become part of their rhythm. Their thoughts adjust by your silence. Their decisions sharpen by your clarity. Their emotions settle by your composure. You are no longer climbing. You are being pulled upward by the very forces you once chased. This is the ascent Machiavelli envisioned, quiet, strategic, inevitable. And yet the climb is far from over. The true test of every climber begins when they finally step into a room where the powerful gather, because it is in these enclosed spaces, dimly lit halls, private lounges, secret online circles and whispered meetings, where the hierarchy of the world is quietly enforced. And the tragedy that devours most ambitious people is not that they are disliked, ignored, or overlooked. It is that they walk into these rooms without understanding the silent rules that govern them. They smile too much, talk too freely, reveal themselves too quickly, and attempt to impress too openly. But power is rarely impressed by enthusiasm. Power is impressed by restraint. Those who rise understand that entering a powerful circle is not the end of the climb. It is the most dangerous part of it. When you stand among people who can open doors that most will never even know exist, every movement becomes a negotiation, every word becomes a test, and every silence becomes a statement. The moment you walk through their threshold, your identity becomes an instrument, your presence becomes a performance, and the image you project becomes a weapon more decisive than any talent you possess. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. People judge you long before they understand you, and powerful people judge with lethal speed. They look for signs, subtle, almost imperceptible, indicators of your self-control, your ambition, your inner stability, your strategic intelligence, your boundaries, your usefulness, your threat level. In their world, impressions are not made over time, they are made in moments. To climb, you must master those moments. You must be able to look a powerful person in the eye without flinching, without shrinking, without bending into the shape of someone desperate for approval. You must speak slowly, calmly, as if every word has already been evaluated in your mind. You must be present without being intrusive, confident without being arrogant, observant without being passive. This is where most collapse. They try to win attention like a child tries to win affection. They laugh a little too loudly, nod a little too eagerly, interrupt a little too frequently. In the eyes of the powerful, this behavior reeks of hunger, and hunger is the scent of weakness. A powerful person wants to feel that they are choosing you, not that you are chasing them. They want to feel that your presence in their world is a mutual negotiation, not a one-sided pursuit. They respect those who seem to have their own gravitational pull, their own universe of value, their own center of gravity that cannot be easily destabilized. They gravitate toward the person who seems like they could walk away at any moment, not because they are indifferent, but because they have options. Options create mystique, mystique creates power, and power attracts power. But to create mystique, you must first suffer the discomfort of silence. You must resist the urge to overshare. You must learn how to hold back parts of yourself, to leave them guessing, to allow the powerful to lean in, to wonder, who are you really? What do you want? Why do you not behave like the others? Why is your energy different, quieter, more unsettling? That is when the dynamic shifts. That is when they begin to treat you as an equal rather than an admirer. Yet even this is not enough. Because those who rise are not simply interesting, they are useful. Powerful people live in a constant war between ambition and paranoia. They seek those who can advance their goals while minimizing their risks. They want allies, not burdens. They want strategists, not dreamers. They want people of competence, self-discipline, and discretion. If you want a powerful person to pull you closer, you must become a solution to a problem they have, a resource they trust, a mind they respect, or a presence they feel they cannot afford to lose. But usefulness alone does not guarantee access. You must understand the deeper, darker psychological patterns that govern powerful individuals. Their lives are riddled with betrayals, disappointments, and hidden enemies. They are surrounded by fakes, sycophants, opportunists, and emotional parasites. Every day, someone tries to take advantage of their position. Every week, someone approaches them with a smile that hides an agenda. Every month, someone pretends to be loyal until they find a better offer. They live in a world where loyalty is currency, secrecy is survival, and trust is a luxury they rarely grant. This is why the one who rises is always the one who understands how to make the powerful feel safe without making them feel superior, respected without making them feel idolized, valued without making them feel exploited. You must become the exception in a world full of predators wearing the mask of friendship. You must become the one person whose loyalty is not cheap, whose identity is not for sale, whose presence feels stable in a world that constantly destabilizes them. When you provide this rare psychological comfort, you become irreplaceable. But there is another law, one that Machiavelli implied but rarely stated directly. Never compete with the powerful in the area where they feel the most pride. Every powerful person has an arena of identity, a domain in which they feel untouchable. Wealth, charisma, reputation, intelligence, influence, connections. If you challenge them on that turf, even unintentionally, they will perceive you as a threat. And if a powerful person feels threatened by you, your downfall becomes inevitable. They will isolate you, undermine you, freeze you out, or quietly destroy your reputation with a single whisper. This is why social climbers who rise too quickly are often crushed. They forget to hide their ambition. They forget to manage the ego of the person above them. They forget that power is not generous, it is jealous. The art is not to play smaller, the art is to shine in a different direction. The powerful must never feel overshadowed by your strengths. They must feel complemented, expanded, enhanced. They must feel that your rise contributes to their rise. They must feel that your success makes them stronger. This is the secret that turns mentorship into sponsorship, interest into investment, proximity into elevation. But even this mastery is not enough if you do not understand the most dangerous law among the 13, the law of emotional neutrality. When you climb, you must never become emotionally volatile, reactive, or fragile. The powerful do not bond through vulnerability, they bond through respect. They do not connect through shared wounds, they connect through shared purpose. When you break down, reveal too much, or display emotional instability, you become a liability. And in their world, liabilities are quietly removed. To maintain emotional neutrality is to cultivate an inner stillness. It means you do not overreact to praise or criticism. You do not cling to validation or collapse from rejection. You do not become intoxicated with approval or furious at indifference. You maintain the same calm expression, the same steady speech, the same composed presence, like a stone in a river that cannot be moved by the currents around it. Those who hold themselves this way radiate a gravity that demands respect. Those who lose themselves to their emotions are swallowed by the climb. But within this neutrality lies a deeper transformation, the shift from seeking connection to selecting connection. Most people are desperate to be chosen. They want invitations, opportunities, recognition. But climbers who reach the top understand that the greatest power lies in choosing, not in being chosen. When you operate from a mindset of selection, you no longer behave like someone who is begging for access. You behave like someone assessing whether this room, this person, this opportunity aligns with the identity you are sculpting for yourself. That change in posture, subtle as it may be, alters the entire dynamic. The powerful feel it. They sense that you are not there to steal their approval. You are there because you have decided that their world is worth entering. They respect those who choose themselves first. But this confidence must be earned, not performed. To reach this level, you must build an internal hierarchy stronger than any external one. You must anchor your value in your self-discipline, your ambition, your competence, your mind, your strategic intuition. When your value is internally anchored, no powerful person can intimidate you, and no rejection can destroy you. You are not climbing to fill a void, you are climbing to expand your influence. And this energy is magnetic. Yet even this is not enough unless you understand the shadow side of social climbing, the slow, inevitable transformation of your identity. The climb demands sacrifices, some visible, some quiet, some internal. You will lose people who once mattered. You will outgrow rooms that once made you feel safe. You will be misunderstood, envied, doubted, whispered about. You will be forced to shed layers of your past self, layer by layer, until the version of you that remains is sharper, colder, more deliberate, more self-possessed. To rise, you must confront the parts of yourself that sabotage your ascent. Your need for validation, your fear of confrontation, your tendency to speak too quickly, your desire to be liked by everyone, your habit of explaining yourself, your emotional impulsiveness, your attachment to people who weaken your discipline, your avoidance of difficult conversations, your reluctance to set boundaries, your fear of being judged. Every one of these weaknesses becomes a crack in your foundation. And cracks do not survive pressure. The climb demands that you evolve into someone who can handle power long before you possess it. Because if you do not become that person first, power will expose your unpreparedness and shatter you. Machiavelli understood that leadership is not a title, it is an internal architecture, a psychological fortress, a mind built to withstand storms. Only when this fortress is complete can you rise without collapsing. And as you rise, you must learn to navigate the shadows between alliances. The powerful do not operate in straightforward lines of loyalty. Their world is a web of overlapping interests, shifting priorities, hidden debts, and unspoken agreements. You must sense tensions that never appear publicly. You must know which powerful individuals quietly dislike each other, which ones pretend friendship to maintain influence, which ones are secretly competing for the same position, and which ones are waiting for the perfect moment to betray the other. These dynamics are invisible to the untrained eye, but the climber must learn to read them like a second language. To align yourself with the wrong person at the wrong time is to inherit their enemies. To align yourself with the right person at the wrong time is to appear opportunistic. To align yourself with too many people makes you seem disloyal. To align yourself with no one makes you seem irrelevant. The art is to move like a shadow, present but uncommitted, involved but not entangled, respected but not dependent. You must be a ghost in their politics. And when the time comes to reveal your loyalty, you must do so with precision, offering just enough to show reliability without surrendering your autonomy. The powerful respect those who remain independent, even while supporting them. They respect the mind that helps them without losing itself. They trust the one who can disagree without disrespect. They elevate the one who can stand beside them without standing in their shadow. But through all of this, there is a final truth the climber must understand. Power gravitates toward those who do not fear solitude. Because the climb will isolate you. It will separate you from comfort, from familiarity, from the people who once understood you. But solitude is not a punishment, it is an initiation. It is in solitude that you refine your strategy, sharpen your instincts, and purify your ambition. It is in solitude that you discover who you are when no one is influencing you, no one is validating you, no one is guiding you. If you cannot withstand solitude, you cannot withstand power. This is the point where most climbers stop. They reach the threshold of the powerful world, but their identity is not strong enough to withstand the pressure. They fold, they shrink, they betray themselves, they sabotage their own ascent. They become overwhelmed by envy, insecurity, or fear. They want the rewards of power, but not the psychological transformation required to earn it. But you are being shaped by every step. You are becoming someone Machiavelli would recognize, someone who understands the difference between proximity and influence, between access and advantage, between visibility and leverage. You are becoming someone who knows how to enter the powerful world not as a supplicant, but as a strategist, someone who can build alliances without becoming dependent, rise without becoming arrogant, influence without becoming obvious, and climb without losing your soul, unless losing it is part of the strategy. And this transformation, this awakening, is what prepares you for the next stage of your ascent. Because now, as you move deeper into the labyrinth of power, you will face the most subtle danger of all. The powerful will begin to test you. They will watch how you react to small slights, hidden insults, delayed responses, subtle rejections. They will study your patience, your restraint, your emotional stability. They will test your loyalty with opportunities that seem too perfect, too easy, too flattering. They will examine your ego by offering you small doses of approval to see whether you become addicted to it. They will measure your ambition by giving you access to people or information most climbers would kill for. They will observe whether you can handle these tests with grace, or whether you break under the weight of your own hunger. Because in the world of the powerful, the climb is never given. It is earned, tested, and watched. And if you wish to rise further, you must pass these tests without ever revealing that you know you're being evaluated. That is the next part of your training. That is the next stage of your evolution. That is the path that leads you from proximity to influence, from access to leverage, from outsider to insider. And when you take the next step, everything will change again. The tests begin the moment you appear to have potential. As soon as you rise above the ordinary, as soon as you show even a whisper of strategic intelligence, the powerful will tighten their gaze. They study you the way a general studies a new soldier who might one day command an army of his own. It is not admiration, it is assessment. They are calculating whether you are an ally, a pawn, or a future threat. They want to know whether you can be influenced, whether you can be controlled, whether you can be trusted. And the cruel truth is that they care far less about your talent than about your temperament. A skilled climber with a chaotic mind is a danger. A less talented one with emotional stability is an asset. The powerful know that mistakes do not destroy empires, unstable people do. This is why the first test is always patience. Power admires those who move slowly, deliberately, without desperation. They will deny you access, delay their responses, ignore your presence, withhold approval, and wait to see how you react. If you become anxious, if you chase harder, if you show irritation, you reveal your hunger, and hunger is weakness. But if you remain calm, unbothered, unwavering, you reveal your internal strength. You show them you are not controlled by your emotions and therefore cannot be controlled by anyone. When you reveal this level of emotional stillness, the powerful begin to open their doors an inch wider, not because they trust you, but because they respect your ability to remain composed under pressure. Then comes the test of discretion. They will offer you fragments of sensitive information, not the core secrets of their world, but small threads that could unravel something if pulled too carelessly. They want to see whether you repeat it, whether you brag about it, whether you leak it subtly to impress others. They want to see whether you can hold something without releasing it to feed your ego. Most fail this test instantly, because gossip is the drug of the insecure. They cannot resist the temptation to appear important, so they reveal things prematurely, and the powerful observe their failure in silence, quietly removing them from the circle, quietly erasing any thought of elevating them further. But if you show restraint, if you bury the information inside your mind untouched, if you do not even hint at knowing it, you earn something priceless, their confidence in your silence. The next test is competence without arrogance. The powerful will give you a task, sometimes small, sometimes intentionally vague, sometimes intentionally difficult, and they want to see how you handle it. They want to know whether you can deliver without complaining, without hesitating, without needing constant reassurance. They want to see whether you solve problems independently, whether you can think strategically, whether you can produce results without drawing attention to your effort. But they also watch for the ego trap that devours so many climbers, the instant desire to brag, to claim credit, to advertise your contribution. Nothing disgusts power more than someone who performs a small task but announces it as a great achievement. The powerful trust the one who works quietly, not the one who performs loudly. In their world, real value never needs a spotlight, It reveals itself through outcomes, not noise. But the tests grow darker, because the powerful do not simply want to know whether you are competent. They want to know whether you are loyal when it is inconvenient. They will put you in situations where you must choose between your short-term advantage and your long-term relationship with them. They will watch how you behave when someone criticizes them behind closed doors. They will observe whether you defend them, stay neutral, or seize the opportunity to align yourself with the accuser. They will see whether your loyalty evaporates the moment you think they cannot see you. But the powerful always see. Their networks extend into shadows you do not even know exist. And when they learn that your loyalty is conditional or opportunistic, you become unworthy of elevation. But if you show integrity without submissiveness, loyalty without stupidity, alignment without blindness, they note it deeply, because in their world, loyalty is rare currency. Yet loyalty alone is not enough. The next test is psychological. They want to know whether they can influence you without dominating you. If you are too easily controlled, too eager to obey, too quick to agree, they will never respect you. They will keep you close as a tool but never elevate you as an equal. But if you resist every suggestion, if you challenge everything they say, if your pride becomes too visible, they will remove you. The art lies in selective agreement. You must know when to nod and when to question, when to adapt and when to hold your ground. You must disagree with sophistication, never bluntly, never emotionally, never with ego. You must disagree in a way that makes you appear thoughtful, not rebellious. When you master this balance, they see you not as a threat, but as a mind capable of independent thought. Then they test your emotional discipline. They will provoke you subtly, an offhand insult, a dismissive comment, a delayed invitation, and observe your reaction. If your ego flares, if you respond defensively, if you reveal even a shred of insecurity, they lose interest. They only invest in minds stronger than their provocations. But if you remain unshaken, if you absorb the insult without reaction, if your energy remains steady, they begin to take you seriously. Because composure under pressure is the trait of someone destined for power. As you pass these tests, something shifts. You become part of the inner architecture of their world. They begin to speak to you with a different tone, less guarded, more intentional. They begin to include you in spaces where decisions are made, rather than where decisions are merely announced. You begin to see behind the curtain of influence. You witness the unfiltered conversations, the unspoken alliances, the hidden strategies, the whispered threats. You begin to understand how power actually operates, not through public displays, but through silent agreements, quiet manipulations, and invisible networks of obligation. And this is when you face one of the most dangerous experiences in the climb, the intoxicating taste of proximity. The moment the powerful treat you like one of them, even slightly, your mind will attempt to sabotage you. You will begin to feel special, important, superior. You will think you have already arrived. And that illusion is fatal. The climb is destroyed the moment you believe you are done climbing. Many fall at this stage because their ego expands faster than their strategy. They confuse proximity with influence, access with leverage, attention with power. They begin to speak too boldly, act too publicly, and forget the subtlety that elevated them in the first place. They forget that they are being watched even more closely now, not less. Because the closer you rise, the more threatening you can become. This is why Machiavelli warned that those rising in power must remain more vigilant than those at the bottom. Your humility must grow as your rank grows. Your discretion must sharpen as your influence expands. Your silence must deepen as your proximity increases. Power respects the one who behaves as if they have nothing to prove, even when they are steps away from greatness. But as you rise, you will encounter a new danger, jealousy. Not from the powerful, but from those around you who cannot understand your ascent. They will whisper behind your back. They will question your motives. They will accuse you of manipulation. They will project their insecurities onto your ambition. They will see your growth as a betrayal of the identity you once shared. They will behave as though you owe them your stagnation, but your climb is not for them. Your ambition does not belong to their comfort. You are not required to stay small so others can feel safe. You must accept that evolution demands separation. Those who cannot rise with you will attempt to pull you down, and you cannot allow them. Yet jealousy is only the outer threat. The real threat lies within, the risk of losing yourself in the identity you crafted for the powerful world, the risk of becoming so consumed by strategy that you forget the truth behind it. Because every climb requires masks, controlled, polished, strategically curated. And if you wear the mask too long, you begin to forget it is a mask. You begin to mistake performance for personality. You begin to detach from your authenticity, becoming a creature built entirely from ambition. This is the silent death of the climber, when strategy replaces identity, when manipulation replaces meaning, when the climb becomes your only source of worth. Machiavelli understood this psychological danger. He knew that the greatest climbers are those who can hold two realities simultaneously, the external world of strategy and the internal world of self-awareness. You must be able to manipulate your environment without being manipulated by your own persona. You must be able to see through others without losing clarity of your own intentions. You must remain grounded, even as you rise into rarefied air where most lose themselves. As you mature in the world of power, you begin to see patterns invisible to the uninitiated. You notice which powerful individuals are respected and which are merely feared. You notice who pretends to lead and who actually leads. You see which alliances are genuine and which are temporary. You see which people hold real influence and which merely hold titles. And you learn to position yourself accordingly, not based on appearances, but based on the deeper currents that govern the hierarchy. This is where the climber becomes something more than a participant in the power structure. They become an architect of influence, not by dominating, not by forcing, but by shaping the environment in subtle ways. By choosing the right conversations, asking the right questions, creating the right opportunities, speaking at the right moment. Influence is never loud. Influence is quiet precision. When you speak rarely, every word lands with weight. When you move strategically, every step alters the landscape. When you remain unpredictable, every action becomes impossible to ignore. And then you encounter the final and most profound transformation. The powerful begin to depend on you. Not entirely, not foolishly, but meaningfully. They begin to rely on your insight, your reliability, your emotional steadiness, your discretion. They begin to trust your mind where they trust few others. They begin to include you in decisions that require true judgment. And from this dependence grows the raw material of your future influence. But this dependence must be handled with precision. Because if you exploit it too early, they will sense your ambition and cut you down. If you cling to it too tightly, you become a servant rather than a strategist. If you betray it, you destroy your entire climb. You must maintain enough distance to remain independent, enough presence to remain relevant, and enough value to remain indispensable. This is the final subtle law of climbing. You rise not by being favored, but by being needed, not by being liked, but by being relied upon, not by being visible, but by being irreplaceable. And now, with your ascent reaching its most delicate stage, only one final climb remains, the crossing from proximity to actual power itself. The crossing where you no longer orbit the powerful, but become one of them. There comes a moment in every climber's journey when the walls around the powerful no longer feel like unreachable barriers, but like gateways waiting for your hand to push them open. You have navigated their tests, absorbed their hidden rules, become fluent in the language of influence spoken only in private rooms. But what few understand, and what almost none prepare for, is that the final ascent is the most treacherous stage of all, because entering the circle of the powerful is one thing, remaining there is something else entirely, and surpassing them, that is a fate written only for those who dare to confront the final, unforgiving truth of power. The closer you climb to it, the more it demands from your soul. You have learned how to become useful without appearing desperate. You have learned how to remain calm under pressure, how to read subtle tensions, how to become an ally without becoming a pawn. You have mastered restraint, silence, interpretation, emotional neutrality, and strategic presence. But now the challenge shifts. It is no longer about passing their tests. It is about building a throne of your own within their kingdom, quietly, invisibly, without provoking the very forces that could destroy you. Because when you approach the summit of any hierarchy, the air becomes thinner, the competition more intelligent, the strategies more ruthless. The powerful no longer test you with small provocations or subtle challenges. They test you with opportunities disguised as gifts. They test you with temptations that can undo your discipline. They test you with the danger of becoming too comfortable, too proud, too visible. And many climbers fall right here, just steps away from true power. They become reckless, they reveal too much, they expand too quickly, they forget that when you are near the top, every movement creates ripples noticed by everyone beneath you. The powerful, even the ones who like you, begin to ask silent questions. They wonder how fast you are growing, how sharp your intelligence has become, how quietly your influence spreads. They begin to sense the potential in you that they once encouraged but now subtly fear. Because power, by nature, is paranoid. It cannot coexist with anything that rises too rapidly. It cannot rest peacefully while someone else becomes indispensable. It cannot ignore a presence that grows without boundaries. The final ascent is not a climb. It is a negotiation with the shadows of influence. Because now the powerful become your allies and your obstacles simultaneously. They will pull you closer with one hand and watch your movements with the other. They will praise you in public and measure you in private. They will offer you opportunities that elevate you and opportunities that expose you. And you must see through both with a clarity so sharp it pierces your own illusions. It is here that your greatest weapon reveals itself, your ability to choose the right alliances without losing yourself in them. The powerful do not simply have allies, they have strategic partners. Rivals disguised as friends, friends disguised as rivals, collaborators, competitors, patrons, enemies, and opportunists. And you must navigate this maze without entangling yourself in loyalties that limit your ascent. Because the final mistake of most climbers is that they choose a single powerful figure to anchor their identity to. They become an extension of someone else's will, someone else's empire, someone else's ambition, and in doing so they cap their own rise. They imprison themselves within the shadow of another person's influence. But the one who becomes powerful never belongs to just one person. They remain adaptable, unattached, fluid. They align with interests, not with egos. They support people when it serves their long-term vision, and withdraw when the alliance becomes a cage. They never become dependent on a single doorway because they understand that true power is not granted by any individual. It is built through the quiet convergence of multiple networks, multiple loyalties, multiple layers of influence, and you must begin to build your own network now. Not overtly, not loudly, not aggressively, but with the subtlety of someone weaving a web in the dark. You must cultivate respect from people above you, beside you, and below you. You must become the person whose name circulates silently in conversations where you are not present. You must become the mind people trust, the presence people call upon, the strategist whose perspective others seek when things begin to shift. Because the moment people start relying on your judgment, not just your loyalty, you enter a new dimension of power, one that no rank or title can bestow. Influence spreads in whispers long before it becomes visible in results, and the most powerful climbers are those who understand that true dominance emerges quietly. You must shape decisions without taking credit, guide outcomes without acting publicly, build alliances through unspoken understanding rather than explicit agreements. When you can alter the trajectory of events without revealing your hand, the powerful will recognize your presence, not as a threat, but as a force they cannot ignore. But understand something deeper. The final ascent is also the moment when you must confront your own shadow. Everything you have done until now, your restraint, your patience, your silence, your strategic persona, has been a necessary performance. But if the persona becomes your prison, if you forget why you climbed in the first place, if you lose sight of your values, your identity, your internal equilibrium, you will become a creature shaped entirely by other people's expectations. And that is not power. That is captivity. You must, therefore, define your ambition with brutal clarity, not the superficial desire to be liked, noticed, validated, or admired. That is the ambition of the weak. Your ambition must be something deeper, something that fuels your resilience when the world tests you. What do you truly seek? Influence, autonomy, security, legacy, freedom, authority, control? Understanding this reveals the architecture of your ascent. Without clarity, you will become a wanderer in the world of power, drifting from strategy to strategy without a true center. Because at the summit of any hierarchy, the emptiest people are the ones who never defined what victory meant. They gained proximity to power, but never built power within themselves. They became dependent on their position instead of the mind that allowed them to reach it. They cling to their titles because without them they have no identity left. But you must rise differently. Your identity must remain deeper than your status. Your power must be rooted in your psychological stability, not your external recognition. Your influence must grow from your inner strength, not from the approval of the powerful. Only then will your ascent become unbreakable. Only then will you be able to withstand the storms of betrayal, envy, and shifting alliances that inevitably surround those who rise. Because the final truth is this: entering the world of the powerful does not end the game. It begins a new one, a darker, sharper, more dangerous one, where the stakes are higher and the rules are hidden behind layers of human complexity. But if you have evolved through every phase, if you have sharpened your discipline, refined your perception, controlled your emotions, managed your ambition, then you are ready. You are ready to build influence that survives the collapse of empires. You are ready to cultivate loyalty that cannot be bought or faked. You are ready to secure alliances that endure beyond convenience. You are ready to stand beside powerful people without diminishing yourself and without threatening them. You are ready to become the person who no longer climbs toward power, but becomes a source of power themselves. And this is where Machiavelli's final lesson becomes clear. The ultimate aim of social climbing is not merely to rise, but to transcend. Not to attach yourself to the powerful, but to become a force so strategically unshakable that the powerful seek connection with you. When you reach this level, you no longer chase opportunities, you create them. You no longer wait for invitations, you inspire them. You no longer seek approval, you command respect. You no longer orbit other people's gravity, you generate your own. And now, standing at the threshold between who you were and who you are becoming, the story turns toward you, not as a character within someone else's world, but as a creator of your own. So listen very carefully, because this is the moment that defines your destiny. Do not merely climb power. Become the kind of person power gravitates toward. Become the presence people cannot ignore, the mind they trust, the force they anticipate, the influence they fear losing. Be the one whose silence carries weight, whose words shift outcomes, whose allegiance strengthens whoever receives it. The world of the powerful does not reward the timid. It does not elevate the unfocused. It does not respect the emotionally unstable. It does not wait for the unprepared. It opens itself to those who shape themselves with precision, intention, and unwavering self-control. And now, as you stand on the edge of this transformation, there remains only one final truth, one final directive that separates the few who rise from the many who fall. Do not wait for power to recognize you. Step forward and claim the place your discipline has earned, your mind has shaped, and your ambition has demanded. This is your moment. This is your ascent. Go into the world and take what is already yours.